How contact with negative people destroys your vital energy. There is an invisible weight we carry every day, a burden that does not always stem from our own struggles but is subtly imposed by social interaction. I am referring to the constant contact with negativity, a phenomenon so common in modern society that it often goes unnoticed, normalized in our daily lives. This prolonged or intense exposure acts as a silent drain, depleting what we hold most precious, our vital energy, our prana, the driving force that propels us to live with joy and purpose. Have you ever stopped to consider the last time you walked away from a conversation feeling inexplicably drained, disheartened, or even irritated, without the discussion being directly about you? What happens in those interactions where the sole agenda seems to be lamentation, caustic criticism, or the projection of a deep, irremovable pessimism? It is at this point that the biggest trap lies. Have you felt this energetic drain firsthand, a fatigue that is not physical, but of the soul? Do you believe the solution for dealing with these toxic people is complete separation, or is there a more balanced way to preserve your energy field? Vital energy is not a mystical or abstract concept, although it may sound like it. It is the quality of your state of mind, your capacity for enthusiasm, resilience, and focus. It is the fuel that turns dreams into reality and challenges into learning opportunities. However, it is deeply vulnerable to the environment in which it is situated. Imagine your energy as a battery. With every positive interaction, you receive a small charge. With every contact with a chronically negative individual, a rapid and dangerous discharge occurs. People with a predominantly negative mindset often function, often unconsciously, as true emotional black holes. They have an insatiable need for attention and validation for their suffering and complaints. The problem is not the occasional venting, which is human and necessary, the problem is the permanence in this state. They refuse to seek the light or consider solutions, preferring the comfortable darkness of lamentation. When we approach them, we are forced to empathize with a pain that is not ours. Our mirroring system attempts to understand and share the feeling, but because the pain is not genuinely ours and is amplified by the victim, we end up absorbing the negative emotional residue. This is not compassion, it is contamination. The impact of this contamination is felt in various spheres of life. On a physical level, the emotional stress caused by trying to save or simply live with this negativity can lead to real symptoms. Tension, headaches, insomnia, digestive issues, and even the weakening of the immune system are the body's responses to an emotionally toxic environment. Science has already demonstrated the direct link between chronic stress and bodily inflammation, and negative interaction is a constant source of stress. On the emotional plane, the destruction is even more nefarious. Joy begins to become scarce, replaced by a subtle cynicism that infiltrates your own perspectives. You start to question your choices and successes through the lens of disapproval or pessimism projected by the other person. Creativity, which flourishes in freedom and lightness, wilts under the weight of destructive criticism and the fear of failure, constantly fed by these interactions. Self-sabotage can be another bitter fruit. By living alongside people who do not believe in themselves or the future, you may internalize that disbelief. Your ambitious projects begin to seem too much, your dreams naive. You diminish your light to fit into the small space of the world that the negative person accepts as reality. It is an act of self-annulment in the name of a misunderstood loyalty or friendship. The drama itself is addictive to the brain. Humans have an evolutionary predisposition to pay attention to danger and conflict, it is a survival mechanism. Negative people, with their narratives full of crisis and misfortune, hijack this innate attention of ours. And because the brain associates attention with a form of reward, the negative person is inadvertently reinforced in their destructive pattern. And we, the listeners, become codependent on this cycle, feeling we have a duty to listen. The solution, though seemingly simple, requires immense courage and a deep process of self-analysis. The first step is recognition. You need to identify who the true energy drains are in your life. This is not about judging character, but about assessing the impact. Ask yourself, how do I consistently feel after talking to this person? The honest answer is your greatest guide. Next comes the need to set boundaries. Boundaries are not walls of rejection, but doors that you control. They define what you accept and what you refuse in your personal and emotional space. For the negative individual, this might mean, I love you, but I can no longer participate in conversations that only focus on the problem without seeking a solution. Or, limiting exposure time, I only have 10 minutes to talk right now. Strategic distancing is another powerful tool. This does not necessarily mean cutting ties with loved ones or irreplaceable colleagues. It means modifying the nature of the relationship. If a coworker is a constant drain, limit the conversation to strictly professional matters. If a relative is the source, reduce the frequency of encounters or shift the focus of interactions to neutral activities, such as watching a movie instead of having a deep conversation. And what to do when the energy drain is you? This is a moment of deep introspection and brutal honesty. The pattern of negativity is learned and can be unlearned. If you constantly catch yourself complaining, criticizing, or seeing the worst-case scenario, it is time for some serious internal work. This might involve therapy, mindfulness practices, or a deliberate shift in focus toward gratitude and the active search for solutions. Self-reflection and conscious effort to raise your own vibration are the most effective protections against external negativity. The journey to energetic self-protection is, at its core, an act of self-love. It is the priority of your peace over others' drama. It is recognizing that you cannot save the world and that, by exhausting yourself trying, you become useless both to yourself and to the people you genuinely could help. The sadness of the situation lies in the fact that often the closest people are the ones who cause the greatest damage, but curiosity should guide us to question, what is my role in this cycle? Do I allow it? Do I feed it? The true solution, ultimately, lies in conscious choice. It is the choice to surround yourself with people who vibrate at the same frequency of growth, optimism, and proactivity. People who celebrate your victories and offer constructive support in your defeats, instead of a silent, I told you so. Life is a mirror. If you radiate light, you attract more light. But if you allow yourself to be consumed by the shadow of others, that shadow becomes your reality. Protecting your vital energy is, therefore, the greatest investment you can make in your future.